Hello and welcome to today's Rocksmith developer stream. I'm your host and the community developer for Rocksmith, Doug Lilly. Thank you so much for being here. Today, like we have been for the past few months, we're going to take a look at some guest contributors for our stream. Got a couple of performances from Elisa Melendez and Evan Lamb. They're going to play a couple songs, including one of their own on the stream later today, and we are also going to have some educational segments from Brian Shu, and Evan is also going to give us a lesson on one of those songs while they're there. But right now, I want to say hello to our chat guests for today. Welcome to the stream, Andrew Levin and Brian Turner. How's it going, guys?
Great, thanks for having us.
Hey, what's going
on? Well, I'm hosting a stream right now. What's going on with you?
I wouldn't know, actually. I didn't know about streams.
Yeah. So Andrew Levin, you are a what are you? You musical content developer.
I'm just a dude who plays guitar.
just a dude with a guitar. Brian Turner, you are the community manager for Rocksmith.
I do happen to do that on occasion.
You do. Also, Brawlhalla.
Oh yeah, also Brawlhalla, and as of Monday, also Watch Dogs Legion.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, congratulations on that. So this is your first time being live in the chat. You've shown up on the stream before playing. You did talk when we were back in the studio, but since this at home time, you covered for me once with a recording that I forgot to make. So thank you for that. But yeah, welcome to the live time. Here on the stream. One thing I forgot to mention, if you have any questions, please let us know in the chat. You can tag either UB Jurassic, that's Brian, who's on screen right now, or you can tag at Rocksmith Game, and we'll try to grab those questions throughout the stream and answer some a bit later on. We're also going to have raffles that Brian's going to pull some double duty and run those too. That's going to happen later. But right now, yeah, let's talk about music some. How's that? Want to talk about music?
Huh?
You want to talk about music? Let's do it.
Frank Zappa said talking about music is like dancing about whatever.
Dancing about math. What's the
yeah. Well, let's talk about music. I actually do like talking about music. So sorry, I was just being contrarian there.
That's fine. We can talk about how talking about music is whatever, but that's what we're going to do here anyway. So
no, go on. I was
change the facts.
I very rudely interrupted you. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It happens all the time. So I want to talk about music discovery a little bit, and I'm curious if there have been, or if you can think of any bands or artists over the course of your life that the first time you heard this song or this artist, it sort of opened doors to a new genre or new sound that you'd never discovered, and sort of how that pathway went. Andrew, start with you.
Yeah, sure. I can name a few times. I guess I'll kind of work my way backwards chronologically. I guess the last there a lot of artists that I've discovered and gotten into and gone, wow, this is really cool. But there are a few artists where I just remember the first time really listening to them very vividly. And I think the last one was Bjork. This must have been about 5 years ago. I heard Army of Me, and I had never really listened to Bjork before. And I remember thinking, I didn't know she was this hardcore. What? Like, this is like some industrial, and it got me into industrial music. And since then, I've gotten really into like Nine Inch Nails and Depeche Mode and all these industrial artists. And really, that was Bjork who got me into them. It was a combination of Army of Me, and also I remember I was really into Radiohead for a long time, and I remember Tom York said that Unravel by Bjork is the most beautiful song ever written, in his opinion. So I listened to that song and I went, whoa, Bjork was really ahead of her time. I mean, when you think about what she was doing production-wise in like the early mid-90s, it's pretty incredible. So yeah, Bjork. And then let's see, I remember hearing Flying Lotus for the first time in college.
Who are they? I'm not familiar with Flying Lotus.
Oh, Flying Lotus, he's like a lo-fi hip-hop artist. He works with Thundercat, who's a really great bass player.
Thundercat is bassists out there. Check out Thundercat. Look for some live videos of Thundercat playing bass. It is incredible to watch.
Yeah. I'll give you two more if that's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
I can literally rant about this all the time. Not really the first time I heard the song, but the first time I watched Purple Rain, and saw the live performances and was told that a lot of the recordings in the movie were actually them playing live. It really opened up a lot of. I'd always liked Prince, but that kind of I felt like I really got where Prince was coming from as an artist, and just how unique he is or was, and how he was just authentically being himself. And I mean, when you think about the amount of people who could rip a guitar solo like that, sing like that, write like that, and do a backflip on stage into the splits while playing a guitar solo, it's just insane. So if you haven't seen Purple Rain, you know, it's maybe not the best written or acted movie, but the musical performances are incredible. I also vividly remember hearing Jeff Beck for the first time when I was maybe 12 or 13. Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. It's on his album Wired. It just sounded like space age. It sounded like the guitar was coming from an alien planet. And Jeff Beck is one of my biggest influences as a lead guitar player for sure. So that was huge. Let's see, who else? Jeff Buckley. I remember hearing So Real by Jeff Buckley for the first time and going, wow.
So what did where did some of these pathways lead you? Like where did Jeff Beck or Jeff Buckley sort of lead you?
Yeah, well, Jeff Buckley really, you know, as you guys know, I'm really into production. That's kind of one of the things that I like doing the most. And I remember hearing, I listened to the album Grace pretty much every night before bed for a good 6 months or so. And one of the things that always struck me about it was not just listening to the songwriting, but listening to the arrangements and how specifically how the background vocals were arranged. If you listen to Grace, there's that bridge section where it has all these like stacked fourths moving down chromatically. And I remember, so that really got me thinking more about not just the song and the guitar playing, but the whole arrangement.
Like how it's presented.
Yeah, that and Abbey Road. Yeah.
Okay.
I got into Abbey Road around the same time as Grace. That was when I was probably 16 or 17. And I started really thinking about those sorts of things more. Jeff Beck got me thinking a lot more about articulations on the guitar. And I think that almost any guitar player will agree that Jeff Beck is one of the greatest, but you rarely hear him shred. You know, what's so incredible about Jeff Beck is just how he's able to make the guitar sound, the different articulations, how lyrical it is. And hearing that at an early age was really great because at the time I was 13. I had just started playing a couple years ago, and I was definitely the kid who was really into guitar, and I was really into shredding. I was really into John Petrucci and you know, like Randy Rhoads and all the shredders, which are great, but listening to Jeff Beck really kind of, I think, helped slow me down a little bit and focus on articulations rather than just blazing fast stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Andrew.
Yeah, totally.
And Brian, I don't know if our viewers have a totally fine handle on your tastes, but I think this might help. So yeah, what are some of the artists or songs that got you to explore an avenue that you had not previously traveled down?
So my well-treaded avenue of music, like comfort, was really in like pop and very like, I guess, pop punk kind of sort of area, because my mom was always the one that controlled the radio, and I really didn't have like that sort of formulated my music taste. So I always have a distinct fondness for like pop and everything like that. But it wasn't until, I guess, late into high school I actually started listening to a little bit more rock and a little bit more classic rock. And I was becoming more acquainted with all these artists that people were talking about, like Foo Fighters and Led Zeppelin. And I didn't really have a solid basis for all that until I started getting into college, and literally my car radio stayed on classic rock stations. I loved it. It was great.
It was all new to you.
It was all completely new to me. But I guess like the more untreaded path for me was a lot of rap. I didn't really listen to a lot of rap, and I guess one of the avenues I got into rap for was one of my high school marching band shows. our drum break, which I was in drumline in high school, so
Yeah.
our drum break was actually based around Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. And that's when I realized a lot of lyrical complexity in that.
Sure.
And I really ended up loving it. It's like a 15-minute song, and I ended
Yeah,
up listening to it over and over and over because I found it so cool. And it didn't seem repetitive or anything, which is typically a stereotype you'll see from a lot of people with modern rap. But the lyrical complexity really brought me in. It opened up the genre for me, and it started taking me down the path for a lot of different things. I started listening to DMX, which has a whole bunch of different songs, and I really got into that. It's one of my favorite albums now. Or I have like a best of DMX album. That's one of my favorite albums. So, that was an avenue that I didn't really anticipate being more open to, and I think it's really cool the way my music tastes have opened up. The more and more, the older and older I've gotten, and the more open I've gotten to all those different genres.
Sure, that sounds good. So I know Brian, you said that it was a friend in marching band that got you into the sort of the world of rap, at that interest, or it was your marching band show. Have you typically discovered these artists on your own, or has it been through friends or just happenstance that you hear something off in the distance and you say, "What's that? I need to know what that is."
I think definitely early on it was friends spearheading stuff. People who would have their portable CD players would bring it to school early, and we'd all crowd around and we'd listen to the CD player. That's how I got introduced to Breaking Benjamin. Somebody brought their CD, I listened to it, and I was just like, I gotta find out who they are because I like this.
Right.
And so I think it definitely early on it was all about what friends were introducing me to and what I happened to hear just by association with hanging out with friends or what I heard on the radio. As I got older, it was definitely more about what I was discovering. And I think definitely, weirdly enough, I feel like I had a really good handle on a lot of different music when I came on to Rocksmith. But then I got an even better handle on music, artists that I really, really liked and songs that I really liked and hadn't heard of when I came onto the brand. And so one of the more recent ones, and it's still my top song on Spotify, I listen to it almost like every day, was Shimmer by Fuel. I really like 90s rock. I love the 90s. Late 90s is like my peak genre of music. Possibly for the nostalgia reasons, but also just because I think the sound is unlike anything else, really.
Yeah.
But I really grappled onto that song when it was first introduced to Rocksmith. I was just like, why haven't I heard this? I love late 90s music.
I would say late 90s rock featured a lot of combinations. It had a lot of pulling in influences from other genres and instrumentation from other genres. And I think that was something that you saw a lot of in 90s rock.
Yeah.
I think. And yes, Andrew.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know Doug and you and I have talked a lot about how much we love the 90s in the office. Like how much 90s music is awesome. And including a lot of hip hop too, a lot of 90s hip hop. I didn't really talk about hip hop because I have like too many songs, but I'm deep into hip hop, and a lot of 90s stuff is great.
I was going to ask, so I know the discovery of Bjork, and then through Bjork, industrial, or the industrial sound, that seems to have had a pretty big impact on your writing, your composing, correct? Have there been any other instances where you've had something sort of maybe you're working on an album, you're about to work on a song or an album, and then something enters your field of view, or the audio equivalent of your field of view, and it just changes the landscape of what you're working on? Has that happened to you?
Oh yeah. Alabama Shakes, Sound and Color. That album, I just really like the way it's produced. They do a really good job of having it sound crunchy and still modern. I would check out a band called Hiatus Coyote. Hiatus, Kaiyote. I was super into them from like 2012 to 2016. They're an incredible band. They're from Australia. They're kind of like if Rush and Amy Winehouse and Stevie Wonder had a baby, and like the singer from the band, she's like a guitar playing Amy Winehouse, but like the band is like Rush, but it's neo soul. It's really cool stuff.
Nice,
so they
okay.
changed everything for me for a while.
What was it? What was the name of the band?
Hiatus Coyote.
Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah, they're Australian. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That is a name right there.
That is.
Yeah.
So right now, I think it's about time for our first giveaway of the stream. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to Andrew and Brian for the time being, mostly so that Brian can run the raffle, because I'm not going to. So thank you guys for being here. We'll be back with you later on in the stream. But right now, for everybody who's paying attention in chat, now is your opportunity to win the first Ernie Ball prize pack of the stream. If you enter to win, you can receive everything that you see on your screen right about now. Once more, we are, as we are working from home and not at the office, we are saving the winning entries and the information, and we will be shipping these out once we return to the office. Again, there is no ETA on that date, but we have the prizes, we have the names, and those will go out as soon as we are back in the office. So good luck on entering. If you win, you're going to get everything that is on your screen. You got 2 sets of strings, a total of 15 picks, 12 from Ernie Ball, 3 from us here at Rocksmith. You're going to get a black Ernie Ball guitar strap, a package of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes, and a peg winder. All of that can be yours if you enter, and if you win, please listen to UB Jurassic in the chat for instructions on how you can win. Right now, I'm very happy to welcome, pre-recorded, but still welcome to the stream once more, Elisa Melendez, aka ElisaRockDoc, who I think is in the chat right now. If you are, hello Elisa, and hello Evan. They stream usually weekly, Monday, and we're going to have some more information about that. But right now, I think we can allow them to speak for themselves, introduce themselves, and we'll be back live after that.
Hey everybody, I'm Elisa.
And I'm Evan.
And we are the co-hosts of the ElisaRockDoc Music Monday show, where we play Rocksmith, we chat music stuff, and we also do an acoustic duo show where we play cover songs, original music, and take your requests. I am a singer-songwriter in the rock band known as Crimson, but I learned how to play bass using Rocksmith. In fact, my relationship with Rocksmith goes all the way back to 2011, back when the very first Rocksmith came out, and I helped promote it as part of the Fragdoll Cadet program, and also super blessed to have Crimson be a part of Rocksmith 2014. Now, Evan, what is your experience vis-a-vis music?
I've been playing guitar for 28 years. That makes me feel old. 5 years in jazz school, for better or for worse. And I'm happy to be a part of the songwriting process and a performer for Crimson. I also perform with a band called The Shades, based out of Chicago. And for the most part, I perform with a band called Try More Mojo, based out of Dallas, Texas.
Woo! So one of the coolest things about Rocksmith is the actual ability to teach me how to play bass, which is really, really cool.
One of my favorite things about Rocksmith is discovering music that I had no idea existed.
Yeah, and that's kind of our favorite part of our Music Monday night shows when we would preview Rocksmith DLC before it came out, is that it would give us a chance to discover new songs and even listen to old songs in a new way, because we're actually having to play through them at 100% difficulty in a live setting.
There are songs that I learned how to play 18 years ago that I learned how to play the right way because of Rocksmith.
Thank you, Rocksmith. So we're going to introduce you to a couple of those songs that we and perhaps other folks might not know about if not for Rocksmith.
What do you like about this song?
I like this song because I adore the guitar parts. There's also a great building bridge in 7.
It's the outro. The outro's in 7.
The outro's in 7,
For all
and
you
it makes
music
me happy. And just that little intro guitar line with the lyrical allusion to bubbles, I think, is one of the more perfect kind of melodic lyrical synergies that I sort of dig as a songwriter.
And I'd never heard of Biffy Clyro before Rocksmith, so thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Rocksmith. Let's get into it.
Let's do this.
We'll hide your view of things end of our tale. The mystery must stay inside. Look at our homes, look at our lives in control of the morning. In control of the sea. I created all the bubbles at night. I'm chasing around trying to pop them all the time. We don't need to trust a single word they say. You are creating all the bubbles at play. There's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl. She's down by the bar. In a room picking up, there's a girl, there's a girl. She's down by the bar. It's time to consider. Now maybe it's a sinner. She'll wash away your sins. She'll wash away your sins. She'll wash away your sins with the whole. I only once upset my Ken, accused him of a moral slip. Well, he came back and claimed to change. I know his life's the same again. I can't ask him again. I should let it go. I created all the bubbles at night. I'm chasing around trying to pop them all the time. We don't need to trust a single word they say. You are creating all the bubbles at play. There's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl. She's down by the bar. In a room picking up, there's a girl, there's a girl. She's down by the bar. It's time to consider. Now maybe it's a sinner. There's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl, there's a girl. Wash away your sins.
Here it comes. It's our favorite part. Yay!
I love that tune.
That was so good.
Yo, what up, guys? It's Brian, and we have another lick and, well, not licks, actually, a lesson of the week. And today we're going to be talking about legato technique and fundamentals. So, in guitarist terms, usually legato is defined as a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs, which is kind of true. We'll just leave it at that for now. And we're going to be taking a look at just a couple of really important things to keep in mind when you're learning how to get better at legato. Most of which is hand position and using your fingertips. And I'll break down the mechanics real in a lot of detail for you. So the exercise we're going to do is a real simple one, and it's basically this shape. Which might be a little bit of a stretch at first. I'll show you the notes. It's the 5th fret on the G string with your index finger. Second finger goes on the 7th fret of the G string, and the pinky goes on the 9th fret of the G string. So this might feel kind of uncomfortable if you aren't used to slightly bigger stretches, but it's really good to get used to it, because if you're gonna go do legato stuff, there's a good chance you're going to be playing 3-note per string scales, and these shapes are all over 3-note per string scales and are about some of the biggest shapes you'll encounter at first. So just think of it like yoga. Like, you get into these stretches and stuff that you aren't quite used to. They feel really uncomfortable, but in time you get a bit more flexible, and it'll get more comfortable. So what we're going to do is let's finger that chord again, or that shape again. So 5, 7, 8, 9, and we're just going to leave our fingers there for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my thumb. We're going to talk about the fundamental good technique of playing legato. And one of the most important aspects of it is your thumb placement. You can see my thumb is like smack dab right in the middle of the neck, basically. And what that does is it allows your hand a significant amount of flexibility. You can pivot back and forth. If I took my other fingers off with my thumb, and I kind of just slowly put my fingers back on, my fingers naturally will use their fingertips, or I'll naturally put my fingertips on the string instead of using other parts of my fingers. You don't want to have your thumb too far out, because what that does is that flattens your fingers, and you don't want that. And it takes away this nice point of pressure that you have with your fingertip. And also, what it also does is it creates this perpendicular angle with your wrist in relation to your forearm. And I don't know if you guys have seen that encore I did a long time ago, but try wiggling your fingers with your hand in that position, and then slowly kind of angle it back out. And you'll notice a huge difference in the amount of tension that you get. It'll relieve as you go forward. So you never really want to be playing with this angle, and that's what playing with your thumb too far down does. With your thumb over the board, you get a very limited amount of range of motion, because so much of your hand is touching against the neck. I can't do anything about it. I can't reach the top strings as well either. And yeah, just too much of my hand will be touching it. So keeping that in mind, keep your thumb always in the middle, because it makes using your fingertips a lot easier. If you look right here, you can even see sunlight coming through my hands right here, because I have a nice little arch because of my thumb position. Okay? Cool. So now that we got that out of the way, that's basically one of the most important aspects for comfortable legato playing. So let's get back to this. We're gonna just hammer on the first note, which is the 7th fret with our second finger, right? We're gonna pick the 5th fret, then we're gonna hammer it on. And at first, don't be worried about making too much, getting the same kind of volume from your picking as with a hammer-on. Actually try to see how little pressure you can get away with when you hammer on. You'll actually be kind of surprised at how lightly you can touch. Okay? And you don't want to be slamming your finger on. Like some people think, some beginners think that you have to accentuate that hammer-on technique. But what that really does is it's just teaching you to do that all the time, and if you're trying to play really fast, you're going to tire yourself out. Try to do it lightly, and then add the next finger, which is your pinky. And I purposely chose this shape because the space between the second finger and the pinky is really awkward. Your ring finger will probably feel like it wants to come down because that tendon that your pinky and your ring finger are connected to are basically the same. You can see that they both move together. So do that in one fluid motion. Just pick, hammer, hammer. And just try to do it with as little pressure as possible, while retaining a nice smooth sound. Okay, so hammer-ons are pretty easy compared to pull-offs, right? Pull-offs are a little bit different in technique. Whereas hammer-ons, you just kind of use the weight of your finger to push onto the string. Pull-offs, you're actually slightly pulling the string a little bit. Okay? So as you can see, there's a little bit of vertical movement because I'm pulling the string that my pinky was on. And it's okay to do this really slow and just get that mechanic down. If I just lifted my finger, you'll notice that the volume that I get is a lot less. It's almost like I muted the string instead. There's the proper pull-off technique. Okay, so just try it with your pinky first to your middle finger, and then do it with your middle finger to your index. Okay, and then try to do that in one smooth motion, all in a row. Just pick once. Sounds like Three Blind Mice. Okay, and then the next, and what I want you to be cognizant of the entire time is what we talked about at the beginning of the video. Make sure that your thumb is always in the middle of the neck. Make sure that you're always using the tips of your fingers as you're pulling off and hammering on. And don't worry if some notes are louder than others. If you're playing it with really good technique, the sound will come later. But what's important is the technique. And then the next step, of course, is to combine it all together. So you just kind of pick once on the 5th fret, and then you pull off with your pinky and middle finger. If you can't do the entire thing yet in a smooth legato manner, you can try picking once at the 5th fret and then picking at the 9th fret. And then work your way up to. And then another good exercise is to see if you can, how long you can keep the sound going without picking at all. So for hammer-on and pull-off, you can focus on the index and middle finger and just do this. And And it doesn't really matter how fast you do it. You can do it really slow or really fast. I recommend doing it slow because this allows you to really focus in on using the tip of your finger and using good technique. Okay? And then do the same thing with your middle to pinky. Okay? And then do the whole thing. And that one will be tough. In between those sessions, make sure that you always shake out your hand, do a little bit of a stretch. I really like kind of pulling on each of my fingers downward like this and doing this stretch called stop the bus. You don't want to pull back too far, but you can do that. It really stretches this part of your arm. So that's a really basic approach to practicing legato. When you're practicing it, make sure that you're keeping in mind all of these things that we were just talking about, and happy practicing. Catch you later.
And welcome back to the to a live portion of this week's Rocksmith Developer Stream. I continue to be your host and community developer for Rocksmith, Doug Lilly. And I want to say thank you very much to Brian Shu for giving us that lesson on legato mechanics. And again, thank you to Elisa and Evan for the first performance. We've got another one of those coming up real soon. Got a couple things right now. First, I want to remind you, if you have any questions for us here when we get back to the chat, for myself or Andrew Levin or Brian Turner, make sure you hit us up in the chat. Just tag at UBJurassic to get those questions over to us. And then right now, we're going to give away 5 copies of the, what did I say? Oh no, I forgot what pack I was going to give away. We're going to give away Variety Song Pack 22. We're going to do 5 copies of Variety Song Pack 22 for Steam. That includes Annihilator, Dishwalla, Ghost, and Wanda Jackson. So if you want a copy of Variety Song Pack 22, make sure you listen to UB Jurassic's instructions in the chat right now for your chance to win one of those. And let's take a look at Elisa and Evan one more time.
Right. And speaking of songs that folks might not have heard of before Rocksmith, here's a song that we wrote. It is Don't Stop by our band Crimson. We are super grateful, and it's still incredibly weird that folks can have a chance to learn how to play our song in a video game.
And learn my solo and play it better than me all the time? Yeah, that's frustrating a little bit.
But awesome. What he means to say is that it's awesome that we that we get to share this with you folks. And it's an honor and a blessing. Kind of a couple of key facts about this tune. I am playing it on a conventional bass. This bass part was not written with a conventional bass in mind.
No, the bass player for Crimson never played bass. He can play bass, but he actually plays guitar in the band.
Yeah.
So this is all synth stuff that Rocksmith had to translate to the bass. So good on him.
Good on him for doing a really, really good job doing it. Hopefully what we can do is hopefully close to flawless playthrough, but more than anything a hybrid of, I don't know, why we think this song might be cool. Other than the fact that we wrote it and it's a video game, and that is still awesome and weird and humbling. Let's get into it. While I'm carrying the first verse, Evan, tell people about the intro.
That little line that carries throughout the song just kind of happened, I think, probably while we were showing the rest of the band how the song goes. And it's weird. It's in 4/4, but the band hits on 2, so it sounds like this really weird, odd timing thing, but it's super not. Actually, the first note I play is on 1.
Yeah.
Fun fact, there are actually 3 guitar parts in this section, and there are only 2 of them in Rocksmith.
But hey, stop by a Music Monday show.
Maybe I can remember how to play the 3rd part.
I love big harmonies more than anything. Yeah, I bail on that. So what? It's about the journey of learning, not the destination. This little kind of like policey guitar part is also one of my favorite parts of the tune.
That's the third part that's not in Rocksmith.
All right, time for the solo.
See if I can butcher it.
Woo!
Not bad.
And a little 4 on the floor, because sometimes I just like harmonizing with the rest of my band too much, and I'm like, can we just do that one more time and find another rhythmic way to make it interesting? And why not fake out the audience?
Love that tune. I'm biased.
Great, and we hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, be sure to check out more of Crimson's music at crimsonrocks.bandcamp.com. We are working on a new EP that should be coming out.
Maybe 2020.
Yay!
Hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But keep it locked to at least our social media channels, as well as our Discord for more information. Feel free to join the Discord because we chat about Rocksmith, music theory, gear talk, all sorts of stuff. So feel free to come on in and hang out there. And thank you so much for joining us. And whether you are learning how to play an instrument for the first time with Rocksmith, or you're an experienced veteran that is checking out new tunes for the very first time, we hope that your Rocksmith experience is an awesome one, and we'd love for you to be a part of our community. So from all of us here at Nope Nation, we would like to encourage you to stay hydrated, stay safe, and no matter what it is you do out there, in all things, make sure that you rock on.
Robert reached out and is like pawing me right now. Good boy.
That was so good.
Good boy.
So good. You were so good.
You made the cutting room floor, didn't you?
Hey! So we are going to talk about the solo for Don't Stop in particular. Usually when I write songs, for the most part, because I am incredibly biased and I do really like my guitar player very, very much.
No, you're just an 80s hair metal freak.
Also that, I tend to write a lot of songs where I go, okay, cool, it goes verse, chorus, bridge, and this is where Evan's guitar solo happens. So we're going to talk about Evan's guitar solo that happens in Don't Stop.
So I like to think about this solo in two parts. All right, the first half, the second half. The first half, I knew had to come out of the gate real flashy, real fast. Cool, that's where this comes from. Whatever. Just because, hey, it's a fast song. I want to be cool. Everybody wants to be cool, right? Yeah. First 4 bars.
Woo!
Okay, so that was cool. Well, I kind of wanted to call back to that section in the second 4 bars, but I didn't want to play the same thing again, so I just took the initial phrase and just shifted it over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then it goes through some color. And then we start the second half of the solo, where it's a very short lesson in voice leading, where okay, I'm taking a solo. I'm just playing single notes. Cool, but I want to keep in mind the chords that are happening underneath it, right? So the first bar of the second half of the solo is just going down the E major scale. Second bar of the solo is also going down the E major scale, but it starts on the F sharp and actually outlines the B major chord that we're playing. All right. Next bar, still outlining, but remember the chords are doing this thing now. So is the solo. All right. Mm-hmm. Last 2 bars of the solo, outlining the A major chord and the G sharp major chord.
I feel like the goal of every Crimson solo is to make me do this face.
No, what makes you do that face is the harmonized guitar parts, which is why the song starts with. Also, both of those parts are in there. It's in the rhythm part. Go check it out.
Check it out. Yeah.
And thanks for checking this out. This is cool.
Awesome. And there you go. Hopefully you know a little bit about the theory behind the solo. And we would love to see your attempts on guitar and bass in Don't Stop. We'd love to see if you could beat our score.
Everybody does. That's cool.
Yeah, everybody does.
I ain't mad about it.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Hi, and welcome back to all of us. Sorry about that slight delay there. Thank you very much to Elisa and Evan. Elisa, I've had the opportunity to talk with and work with over the past couple of years. She is wonderful. She was part of our Backstage Pass program a couple of years ago. Evan, I have not had the chance to actually meet yet. I would love to be able to change that at some point. Evan, thank you so much for all that you've done with the stream over the past couple of years. If you want to check out more from Evan and Elisa, Elisa can be found at ElisaRockDoc, and Evan can be found at Evan Lamb Guitar. Additionally, if you want to see more from Elisa, check out the Film Joy YouTube channel. Hopefully, we'll get a link in the chat. I might be able to post one in real quick if I'm fast about it. There you go. Where they do deep dives on. Sorry, she's a cast member of the Deep Dive show on the Film Joy YouTube channel, where they try to find the joy in bad movies. You can also find more from Evan at facebook.com/trymoremojo. If I got that wrong, I apologize. And someone in the chat, please correct me. But again, thank you very much for performing for us this week. And now I want to say hello again to our guests, Andrew and Brian Turner. Welcome.
Yep.
Hey.
Hi. So we've got some questions. Hopefully you have some answers. First one, I wanted to, I grabbed this one from the chat. This isn't a question so much, it's a comment that I wanted to bring up to you. I guess this is mostly for Andrew. Sorry, Brian. So Jean308 mentions playing bar chords with her thumb.
Okay.
Now, traditionally, I know this isn't sort of the expected or the intended way to do it, but it is a practice that some guitarists use intentionally, or I assume it's mostly intentionally. Like I know Pinball Wizard has that. What are some of the advantages if you do use your thumb occasionally on the neck?
Yeah, sure. Well, there are certain things that you can't play without doing that, right? So like you mentioned Pinball Wizard, like it has this, what is it? Is it in B? Right? That's not possible to play without putting your thumb there, because you could do it. You could do it.
And you're like make a really severe arc with your.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm muting my D string. I don't know if you can hear it very well over there. So you can do it like that. Yeah. So there are certain things you can do, with your thumb, like particularly Pinball Wizard or any sort of, you can't really do that. Well, you can kind of, but anyways, but personally, I don't use my thumb that much. I grew up doing it a lot, and I had a classical guitar teacher from when I was like 18 to 22, and he always would just hammer me for putting my thumb up here, even if I wasn't using my thumb. And that's actually there is a reason for that.
Are we all doing it now? Is this...
Yeah, if you want. So basically, if you keep your thumb kind of down here behind your middle finger, like so, you're gonna get a bit more arch this way, and it'll allow you to spread out and do bigger chord shapes, like this chord shape right here. That's one of my favorite chords. You can't really do that with your thumb up here because it's going to squish your hand, right? So as long as you're aware that, the lower your thumb is, the more reach you're going to have. What's so funny?
Brian Turner is making a scene.
I'm not doing anything. I swear.
I'm not on grid view. Sorry.
He's a music lover. That's
But anyways, as long as you know that it's better to play this way in general, you're going to be more dexterous. You can use your thumb if you need to. But again, my personal opinion is I tend to not. That's just my way of playing, but that's not better or worse. But I will say that for bar chords, if you're sliding around a lot, it's a lot easier to do that with your thumb down here than because you're kind of squished. You can kind of do it, but you kind of have to move your shoulder up, and when you're playing for long periods of time, that can kind of hurt after a while. So nothing wrong with it, but not my preferred way of doing it.
All right. And I have a maintenance question that I guess, I'm sorry, Brian, this should probably also go to Andrew. If you want to jump in.
It's fine. It's fine.
Absolutely. Feel free. This is from Guitar Princess 2, wants to know, can the truss rod, when the truss rod needs to be adjusted, can it make your guitar more difficult to play? How do you know when the truss rod needs to be adjusted, and what is that? Let's talk about truss rods. What are they? What do they do? How do you know when you need to adjust them?
Sure. So the truss rod is a rod that goes through your neck, and you need to adjust it when basically. So if I lay this guitar flat here, I adjusted my truss rod recently, so if I put it up to the camera, it's like relatively flat, right? But if it's with a lot of heat, it can get loose. Your neck can get loose, and it can actually bend down, curved. Dan may know even more about this than I do. But anyways, it can kind of get curved this way. And if it's too tight, it can go that way. And that is not good for playing. So a lot of times you'll know that the truss rod needs adjustment because, for example, if the action is low towards the nut, but it's really high on the guitar and it's hard to play up here, you may need to adjust your truss rod. I always need to look up which direction to turn it. Even though I've literally been doing this for like 20 years, I still always have to look up what direction to turn the truss rod. So that's one way that you can definitely know is if the action is high up here, and if it's low over here, your neck is probably curved and you need to flatten it. And if your action is low and it's buzzing over here, but it's high closer to the nut and over here, your neck might be bent this way and you need to adjust it. You're going to use a hex key and you want to do a quarter turn at a time. The hard part about adjusting the truss rod is that a lot of times the changes aren't going to really set in for about 24 hours. So it's much better to err on the side of caution because otherwise you could snap your neck. So do like a quarter turn at a time, see how it feels the next day, and that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I wanted to ask Brian Turner while he's not terribly busy right now.
Oh, hi.
So the Gretsch, that's your new guitar, correct?
Oh, yeah. So let me put one of these down at least.
Sure. You can probably afford to put two down.
Okay. So this is the my new Gresh. This is the only electric guitar I actually own, which might be confusing since I was holding 3 guitars. But yeah, this is the Gresh Junior Jet Club. And it's been playing super, super well. I've been playing a lot of Rocksmith.
Played on it.
It was actually Shimmer by Fuel, which is like been the most like intense song I've like focused on for Rocksmith. I was like, I'm gonna get this song down. I like this song. I'm gonna do this song justice.
Sure. That's good. I know, Brian, you have your acoustic that you've had for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You have this electric. Do you? So I don't know if this will apply to you, but let's ask both of you anyway. Do either of you, when you're trying out a new guitar, do you have like a go-to riff or song that you like to test with to see how a guitar feels? Is there a specific?
Yeah.
What do you tend to go for? What do you tend to play when you want to know if a guitar is going to work well for you?
Andrew, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. A couple things. One of my go-tos is Chopin, Etude 9. I have a little arrangement for guitar because I want to see how it works with chords. I don't know if you guys know that tune, but that's one I always try out when I'm trying a new guitar. I'll start off with that to see how it sounds with the fingerstyle chordies, and then maybe I'll do some jazz chord melodies. And then once I see how it sounds in clean tone, for me, the most important thing is really how it sounds in clean tone, because I feel like I can manipulate the dirty tone a bit. So if it has a real nice clean sound, then I can usually get a dirty sound I like. So that's what I'll start off with, and then I might do some pick stuff. And for that, I usually will just kind of improvise. I have some, I'll just kind of play fast. Yeah, just noodle for a bit.
Right. And Brian Turner, what about you? What's your go-to when you're trying out a guitar?
So one of the first things I ever learned on acoustic guitar, or just on a guitar in general. Oh.
Go ahead.
What?
Sorry.
You were like mouthing words. I was like,
yeah, I was mouthing the word Wonderwall.
No, not Wonderwall, actually.
Not Wonderwall. Okay.
Not Wonderwall. It was actually Good Riddance by Green Day, and I learned like some sort of finger picking pattern for it. I don't think it's actually like super correct, but I play it like every time I pick up a guitar, I immediately go for that, and I feel like it's a really good exercise to like get around the strings for a little bit. So it's just. So that's what happens when I usually pick up a guitar. I just start doing that, and it's also how like I'll make sure if I'm in tune or not, because sometimes it just won't sound right, and I think that was a little bit off actually. But I also haven't picked this up in a while since I got the Gresh. So
right,
but
still feels nice, right? Though.
Oh yeah, it still feels super nice. I definitely haven't put this thing through rough times, but it's gone through quite a few years. It's survived college, and that's all I can ask for, really.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I think it's about time for our final giveaway. I want to thank both of you guys for being here. Brian Turner, once more, you are a community manager for Rocksmith. I know you know that. I'm letting the chat know if they didn't hear earlier. Andrew Levin, musical content developer. Thank you both so much for being here, answering some questions, and talking about music. And let's have that raffle, shall we?
Cool.
So we are going to give away our second of 2 Ernie Ball prize packs right now. Once more, we will send these out once we are back in the office. Just heard from somebody who won an Ernie Ball prize pack the last week that we streamed from the office, and I apologize. That package is on my desk and I cannot retrieve it, but it is ready to be shipped out as soon as we get back, along with the other winner from that week. So my apologies. We'll get those out as soon as we can. All the information is at my desk, so I can't get it, but as soon as we're back in there, we'll ship that one out. But yeah, if you're right now watching, you can win everything that is on your screen. Again, we will be shipping these out once we get back into the studio. We do ship internationally. If you are not in the U.S., please let us know. Split up your address line by line to make it a bit easier for me. And we always, as always, we do need your full name, your shipping address, and your telephone number to get your prize to you. So good luck to everybody who is entering into that raffle. And right now, I want to say again, thank you to Brian and Andrew for chatting with me. thank you so much to Elisa and Evan for playing and showing off some of those solos. Almost every Monday night around 6 p.m. Pacific time, they stream here on Twitch at ElisaRockDoc. You can find them there. And thank you once more to Brian Shu for the legato lesson, and thank you to Dan for running the board for us today. I want to say Happy Pride Month, everybody. We're almost out of the month. I want to make sure we get that in there. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much. See you next week. We are going to raid Ellison Creek. Oh, we're gone. Okay. Oh, and we're back. Real quick before we go, we are going to now raid Ellison Cruz. So if you want to stick around and watch some more Rocksmith being played live, now's your chance. So stick around, and we're going to visit Ellison Cruz. And we'll see you next week.